Hi there, guys. It's Jennifer. Thank you for the great questions, Kim Young, all about sort of the nature of being human and the nature of being alive and the nature of love as it pertains to us being an extension of source energy. Very thoughtful question, and I'm looking forward to answering it right here and right now on your Get Out page, you guys. So let me read you a little bit of her post so that you guys can get a little bit of an idea. She said, I really have a question that is burning in my mind and have difficulty reconciling with. I could use a perspective on it. It is something that I have thought about, but haven't had an answer, and I'm unsure even if whether it's a silly question, which of course nothing is a silly question. She says, maybe this is a misguided belief, which, Kim, don't worry, you don't have to apologize. But if divine creator is love and derives from love, how is it that living beings, past or present, being the fingers of the hand of the divine, paraphrasing a little bit, Kim, hope you don't mind. How is it that we can be different, we can think differently, we can be differently than the creator of all? Feelings of hate, anger, sadness, discord, gossip, etc. Understand free will, but how did living beings get to thinking and feeling differently in the first place? Why did we think anything differently from what creator thinks? Aren't we from the same mind? And then I wonder, does the divine creator have those types of thoughts and feelings within itself? Did creator want to experience such things through living beings? She was pretty emotional writing it, and she would really love to better understand. So Kim, this one is for you and everybody on the page. Specifically, to answer the question, we have to go back to what's the purpose of human beings. Creation, God, wanted to understand all of what's possible in creation more, and wanted to create a level of, or an operating system that would allow it to experience all that was possible. So if you imagine creation having its own feeling of potential, much like a big bang, that there's this vast, incredible, powerful potential of what could happen or what might happen in the universe, should it come from nothing, and from that space of nothing, that 0 point of all possibility, anything could become possible. And through its explosion into all possibility, it would experience what an atom is, what a molecule is, what a world is, what an ocean is, what life forms are. It would experience all of those things. And then from there, let's say eventually, over time, human beings were created. And as an idea of all of creation, as a possibility, they came into three-dimensional reality. But in order for the creativity to have its full reign, human beings were given free will. So, pretty predictable existence with getting food and having animals chasing you and having rudimentary tools all the way until the evolutions of human beings now, where we're quite complex and we have complex emotions. Our brains have developed to have very complex emotions, etc., etc. The thing is, if you're going to make the purpose of life to create upon itself, then you can create new emotional states. See, creation itself doesn't have the capacity to have emotions. It just is. It just is at a state of isness. So from that 0 point of isness, all is possible. It's like nothing and everything is possible, which means that every emotion that ever ran the gamut of emotions, kind of like colors, every color that ever ran the gamut of what human eyes can perceive, which is only within a very set spectrum, but there's a huge spectrum of colors that go beyond what the human eye can see. So to consciousness, emotions are neither good nor bad. The problem comes, Kim, when we start judging the emotions, the ups, the downs, the anger, the disdain, the sadness, the discord, all of the things that you mentioned. What if for consciousness there's absolutely no judgment, and consciousness just comes at our life streams from a place of interesting or experience or isness, and from that place there really is no polarity. There's no duality. There's no this is good, that's bad. And what if our job is not to wish that we would go back into consciousness and have no emotion, but to experience the richness of that which it is to be alive. And in experiencing the richness, we have the privilege of experiencing emotions, and the ones which we might judge as bad, the emotions one might judge as bad, are not bad. They're simply redirects. They redirect us to a more expansive state, which causes deeper creation. So for consciousness, that's all that's going on. It doesn't judge one way or the other. At the level of consciousness, there's simply emotion, the ups, the downs that we might assess as human beings. But in reality, there is no bad or good. There is only something that tells you whether you're expansively going towards the life that would create upon creation most, or whether you're disconnecting from where creation spends most of its time, which is in expanding forward. So emotions become guidance for human beings as to whether you're in the flow with all of creation, i.e. you feel expansive, and even sometimes when we're sad or when we're mourning someone, it's so expansive to express. So again, I'm using the word expansive because there's no duality or polarity or judgment about it. Do you get what I'm saying? So is this helpful for everyone? I hope it is. She says, I just want to answer a couple of the questions. I understand free will, but how did living beings get to thinking and feeling differently in the first place? Well, creation created us to be able to think and feel in order to have a greater ability in this particular dimension to be able to create upon what's possible. Does that make sense? So if the purpose of life itself is to be able to create, then again, emotions got developed in order for human beings to either go towards what's more expansive or to get redirected over to what's more expansive. It's a mechanism for human beings. And let me give you an example, all right? Everyone, this will be a really good example. So imagine in the world right now, there's so much polarity and people trying to milk power from other human beings that are a little bit blinded, right? So here are these human beings that are a little bit naive, not aware, a little bit unconscious, and there are those that would rather give their power away to another than to actually listen to their own instincts. Well, the cool thing is if you give your power away, you might not think this is cool, what happens is that you start not actually writing your own movie, and you start being in someone else's movie, and the movie can look pretty bad, especially if they want you to stay asleep. And so they'll get extra money from you, they'll convince you to buy things that you don't really want to buy, they'll convince you that, black is white and white is black, and just they'll convince you of all sorts of things, and then you start living into that illusion like it's true. And it happens in politics all the time. People just blindly believe things. It happens in religions all the time. People just blindly believe things, right? But the problem is, life, if you're not doing it consciously, or if you're not actually following what's calling you, if you're not actually listening to God's megaphone, your heart, then what will happen is you will have things happen that are not fluid. You'll have things happen that don't feel good. You'll have things happen that will cause emotions that are trying to redirect you. And if you don't take responsibility for them, you'll point fingers at someone else. And if you point fingers at someone else, again, you'll get more and more and more upset. The problem is that human beings were never taught that their emotions are a way of redirecting them back towards a different perspective, or towards a different truth, or towards a different awareness. Does that make sense? And so, because we don't know how to use the emotions, we just take those things as true, and then we start getting self-righteous about it. So the issue here is a misuse or a misunderstanding of emotionality. And so there's nothing wrong with feeling disempowered. There's nothing wrong with feeling down. There's nothing wrong with any of those things, especially if you're a creator and you want to get on with creating. It's how you know you're off track. Get it? So why would anything be different from creator? Because creator can't create without contrast in 3 dimensions in our world. So that's why we're not of the same mind. Next question was, then I wonder, does the divine creator have those types of thoughts and feelings within itself? Well, it does, but only from a human perspective, and I'm sure from other living beings in other realms that also have emotions that might be similar. So, but only as us. Like creation only has those feelings and thoughts as us. Creation comes from a total place of complete zero-pointed neutrality. You understand? So that's why creation can create anything. Now there's a lesson in this. Is there value? It's interesting. We just had this conversation, very deep conversation, very deep. I wasn't expecting it to go deep because I was like, what's going on? On our Wings call, we were talking about, so once a month, the alumni of flight school gets together and we have a conversation and we build new activations and open up new doorways. And one of the doorways we open to, I see a couple of people from Wings here, is this idea that it really, once again, at a deeper level, the place where the multi-dimensions and 3 dimensions cross is a 0 point. And in that 0 point, nothing could be happening in that moment, but everything is possible. That 0 point. It's so powerful. So creation doesn't have a feeling about it. Creation had to create a way in order to, in different dimensions, have creativity reign, have it be able to experience itself through different creations. So creation itself at that level doesn't have emotion. So at the 0 point of just the multidimensionality of the existence of all that is, it just is. And in the pure potential of everything that now exists in every dimension, of course there are emotions. So creation is both the 0 point of nothing and the 0 point of everything. So does it have emotions itself? No, but are there emotions within all of creation? Of course. So did Creator want to experience such things through living beings? Abso-freaking-lutely, because there are no judgments. And that's the thing that I wanted to bring home to you, beautiful, is that if you look at emotions as a tool rather than something to judge or assess, all of a sudden you're free. Now, what do you do with that? Well, from Get Out of Your Own Way, which is where this question came from, the private page of Get Out of Your Own Way, from that place, course, I've talked to you guys about using your superpowers, your innate abilities. And I think most of you have probably taken the Innate Abilities program. It's the wideawakening.com/innate abilities. You get to now master your superpowers to be able to utilize those emotions and use that energy to create something. It's like that time when, I was completely destitute and just feeling horrible because I had just walked my little friend Angel to the psych ward, and she told me her whole life story and the incredible amount of abuse in her life. And I thought, there's no hope. And there's thousands of children like this in Toronto at the time. And then I thought, yeah, but there's millions of them in Africa and India, and they're all over the world. Like, this story is not just this little girl's story. This is millions of people's story. And I thought, well, I'm just me. How do I do anything about that? And that's in that 0 point of how do I do anything about that? In that 0 point, hi, sweetie. Thank you for the tea. Bye. At that 0 point, my sweetie comes in and gives me a kiss. At that 0 point of all creation, what happens is that I had the thought, well, I can be a martyr and I can take everyone into my house and I can try to save the world. On the other side, I could just shut off all my feelings and not feel any of this. And in the middle point, I heard all of creation say, which is building a bridge to a new reality. And I wouldn't be talking to you right now if this had, in that moment, if this hadn't happened, I wouldn't be talking to you. So, and what had happened was I heard the third possibility, the bridge building possibility, where what if I empowered people to lead their lives and to listen to their instincts as I did, then everyone becomes a leader. Then we have an armada, as it were, of people following the voice of their heart and the voice of God's megaphone. And all of a sudden, we all become agents of change and agents of awakening in this world. So was the feeling bad? No, it catalyzed a new creation called, I'm going to spend the rest of my life empowering people to be able to go direct with their own consciousness and be able to build bridges to humanity. So do we judge it as bad? No. So the last thing I want to say is this. You guys, one of the most important programs I'm going to be doing ever is launching, and we're doing it the first time at the Omega Institute in upstate New York. I'll post the link, but you can go to, I can't remember what it is. It's Omega, let me just find it and I'll tell you. eomega.org. eomega.org. The workshop is called The Mastery of Ease and Flow, and it's all about the answer to your question, Kim. But it takes it all the way to the end result, which is how do we build bridges and how do we get on purpose building bridges, following our instincts. And it's the first time outside of my own venue. We're going to be doing some new innate abilities along with that. Then we're going to celebrate it all on the solstice, which also happens to be my birthday. On the solstice, on the summer solstice, and we're going to do something really special on the evening of the solstice. So if you are looking to do one of our programs, and by the way, it's incredibly affordable too for how long it is. I mean, it's basically 2.5 days. We usually charge a lot more. So I so recommend you check out coming, and Rhinebeck is gorgeous.